Why did I decide to start recording? Well, I'm from the South, Louisiana, that is. Dirty, dirty. And we have a popular saying down there, and it says, "Give me my flowers while I still live." And usually, what that means is if somebody is alive that you cherish, value, or you feel like they've done great things in life, you tell them and compliment them and let them know what they mean to you while they're still alive so they can hear it. Now, this is my shout out to the person that got me involved in the civil rights activist movement, and that's the Battousai. That phrase, civil rights activist, has been defiled by propaganda agents to make citizens believe it's referring to the rights of black people or minorities, but that's incorrect. Civil rights refers to the basic rights and freedoms of all Americans. So when I refer to civil rights, talking about me, I'm referring to the rights all Americans share and should exercise. Because after they dissolve the rights of the poor, that includes poor whites, they are coming for everyone else. The greatest civil rights activist of the last decade is the Battousai, aka Phillip Turner. It was Big Nick, South Florida, accountability. Shout out to you, Big Nick, that entertained me as I was getting into watching First Amendment auditors and on YouTube. But it was the Battousai that lit a match to get me involved in the cause. Civil rights, photojournalism, and police reform. Took me a while to realize that civil rights plus police photojournalism equals police reform. Yeah, took me a moment to get that. But it seems like Phillip Turner had it figured out for a long time. If you live in Texas, Louisiana, or Mississippi, I want you to think about as it comes to civil rights for people, regardless of demographics, regardless of race or gender. I want you to sit and think about in the last decade who has done the most for civil rights, for your civil rights. Forget about politicians and all that. We're talking about real things right now. For your civil rights. Name me a person in the last decade who has done the most for civil rights in Texas, Louisiana, or Mississippi. Go ahead. I'll wait. I'll give you a moment to sit and think. If you're fast at Googling, you may be able to find an answer. Okay, that was enough time. The answer to the question is Phillip Turner. Phillip Turner has done more for civil rights with his case that he won more than anybody else for your civil rights if you live in Texas, Louisiana, or Mississippi. With his landmark case in 2017, he ushered in a decision to be made by the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit that established the First Amendment right to record the police. The case number is 16-10312. For those of you who would like to learn more, the court found that the right to film the police in public was a First Amendment right, and to be apprehended by law enforcement for doing so is an unlawful arrest and violates a citizen's Fourth Amendment rights. The other thing that the court noted was the doctrine of qualified immunity, and that it protects government officials for actions performed during the course of their work if they reasonably believe their actions to be legal. This is why you always hear First Amendment auditors on videos recite the law to officers. This puts the officer on notice. But in order to disqualify an officer under qualified immunity, the defendant must show two things as evidence in their case. One, that the officer or government official violated a statutory or a constitutional right, and that the right was clearly established at the time of the challenged conduct. Though Mr. Turner did not fall under, at the time anyway, the right was clearly established at the time of the challenged conduct. It is his case and tireless fight that made it so now the right was clearly established for you and me. But why would I consider what the Battousai has done to be so great? And why would I say he is the greatest civil rights activist of the last decade? First, how many times would the average citizen stand up for their rights, knowing there was a high possibility of them being arrested, shot, or beaten? Second, the Battousai couldn't even find an attorney to take his case. So this was not something that the average attorney even wanted to touch or had the testicular fortitude to fight in courts. You know how hard it is to fight for your rights and freedom when the attorneys are scared to fight against the police? Third, the Battousai was constantly harassed by the police. There were many times he was followed by the police at night simply for recording them openly. Do you know how scary that is to have the police pull you over for nothing except for exercising your constitutional rights? Fourth, the Battousai didn't have much money and was relying on donations to help him with his fight. Man, I'm a witness to this. Do you know how hard it is to fight broke? And the last reason, which to me is the greatest reason, he was just a college student trying to go to school so he could have a career. He put all of those things at risk so the rest of us could have the right to protect ourselves from bad police that are indeed real. I would like to thank the Battousai, for the name is well deserved. And for those of you who love anime like myself, the character Kenshin, which is who you see Mr. Turner to be when he is being nice and just filming the police, turns into the Battousai, which is who you see Mr. Turner becomes when an officer violates his rights. And I'm pretty sure there have been plenty of police officers who have faced the Battousai and found out that being meek does not equate to being weak. And a person with a camera exercising their rights is a warrior that has already put his life on the line for what he believes. Thank you for watching. I'm placing his Cash App in the description so you can donate to a true American you may not ever knew existed.